Good morning. I'm Bonifacio and I'm a businessman by necessity. And I would like to talk today about digital transformation and how it would impact the workplace and also our lifestyle. Um, First of all, I would like to give you a glimpse of the workplace back in 1960s, the late 60s, and up to the early 80s. 1960s was because that's where I started working. And by the 80s, that was the time before they introduced the personal computers. Right now, at that time, we usually use typewriters. If you want to make letters, documents, proposals, you have to type them. And if you want it to be neat and presentable, you have to, and you have some erasures, you have to redo it again. And usually it would take you an hour or more than an hour. So it was really very tedious. Next tool that we had at that time was a telex machine. I don't know if you've heard the telex machine. It's like a electric typewriter with a spool of paper tape, and you use that to communicate overseas. And you type that whatever messages you want. Each character would punch in a hole into the paper tape, and after the whole messages is done, you cut the tape, reinsert it, you dial the telex machine to another telex machine. And once the telex machine answers, you punch in and the whole tape keeps rolling. Now, the problem with telex machine is that it's very expensive. Only big corporations can afford it. And also, aside from that, is that you have to have an operator on that side that watches the telex machine. Now, if you don't have a telex, you want to send an important communication. You go to a telegraph office. From there, you send out a telegram. So they charge you per letter or per character. Now, it will take several days before that telegram will be delivered. You'll be lucky if you get it in 2 or 3 days, a week maybe. And you don't know whether that side received the telegram. Now, another tool that we had at the time was the Rotary Telephone. You dial. When you want to communicate overseas, you have to call your local switchboard operator. Give them the information. You want to talk to this person at this number. Then that operator will dial overseas to the same switchboard, another switchboard. They will locate the person. Now, if they have the connection, then you start talking. The problem with that is that both the switchboard operator are listening to your conversation because they have to know when any one of you hang up already. And they have to know the time that you talk so they can bill you properly. So privacy was really not a question at the time. There was totally no privacy. Aside from this, hailing a taxi, for example. You want to hail a taxi and then you have to stand up in a corner. Why a corner? Because there are 2 roads there on the corner. So if you're lucky, you catch an empty one, probably in a few minutes. But if you are not so lucky, you'll be standing there for hours. So that was the situation then. Fast forward to the present. Oh, now you have online shopping, online banking. You have the Grab, Uber. So everything you can do in an instant, right? By seconds. So what happens is that because of digital transformation, we have this kind of lifestyle. When we talk about digital transformation in an office environment, we usually talk about converting paper-based document into a digital form. And usually we refer that to electronic archiving or uh, digital archiving. Now, there are two aspects of digital archiving. One is we call the passive archiving, and the other one is active archiving. On a passive archiving, when you scan documents, store it in a server or in a hard drive, usually the document sits there. Only if you need it, you can retrieve, sort, edit, print, and it's kind of a boring archiving type. The more active is the one that would really change the whole workplace. That's what we call the active one. In the active, the scanned documents, you add on a technology called workflow. Now, suddenly you pick up that document is picked up, and it's being routed. Example, loan application. You scan all documents, right? And when the document is scanned, it will be routed to different departments. For example, if the loan is 100,000, it goes to one department. Over a certain amount, it goes to another. Now, if a loan is conforming, it goes to another one. Finally, if a loan is being rejected, it goes to another department, and approved, it goes to another department for finalization. Now, all of this movement has no human intervention. Okay? There was only one when the documents were scanned. All the processes were done automatically because of workflow. Now, add another technology called AI, artificial intelligence. Now, when I scan, let's say, a volume of documents, hundreds, thousands, AI would now recognize the documents. It would go into folder A, folder B, folder C, because you have taught the AI that this document goes to that folder. So AI makes your work very easy and fast. Add another technology called zonal OCR. One document, I can now extract data because it recognizes where those data are. We create a document. You teach the software that this zone is, for example, an invoice. This zone is invoice number. This zone is account. And these zones are quantity, description, and amount. So with that zonal OCR and extracting all the data, it is being exported into a file called a CSV file or an Excel file. When you have an Excel file, everything of the data there is arranged, right? So from an Excel, you can introduce mathematical formula, plus, minus, multiplication, some other even engineering formulas. And aside from this, you will have now infographics. You can have pie chart, bar chart, right? And with this report, now you can have analytics. Okay, from analytics, the whole data can be introduced again into another software. And that data moves fast. And I can tell you from here to there, no human intervention. So that is what is happening now. Now, how will it affect the workplace? Oh, a lot. So digital transformation will have a big impact. Now, how do we know what application we have to develop? Usually, it would be the customer, the client, who would tell us what are their problems, what are their pain points, what do they want to do, what type of efficiency they want to achieve. So from there, we develop the software. We do a system called POC, or proof of concept, and we show it to them. And if they say yes, that's the one we want, or maybe they want to improve it, then on the final stage, we develop the whole thing. A case in point is one consumer manufacturer here in the Philippines. They're receiving a lot of purchase order from their customers, like supermarkets or convenience stores or sari-sari stores. They receive around 1,000 purchase order a day, and it takes about 20 people to process it. And from the time they receive the purchase order, do the invoicing, go through the routing with accounting, and so on and so on. Prior to the delivery, it takes about a week. Now, we did the automation. It took 2 hours and 2 persons to to process the whole system. So what happens to, the question there is, what happens now to the 18 employees, right? Common conception is that they were laid off. But for this particular company, when we developed the program, there was a consultation already about how you reallocate resources. So these 18 employees were retrained, okay, given new skills, and taught about new, like, interaction with customers. So instead of retrenching, they should do retraining. I think that should be the mindset of businessmen when they think about automation, so that you can minimize the social impact on people. Anyway, for businessmen that goes into automation, usually it's productivity, right? They want more productivity, more efficiency, more profit. So when they have more profit, they have more customer. So there's no reason for them to say that automation equal lesser people, because now the company grow. You can reallocate. Now, another source of ideas, where we get ideas what application to develop, is from the government. Nowadays, data privacy is very important, right? The risk of digital transformation is always on risk of data leaks, data hacking, unauthorized downloading, either by your employees or by somewhere else. But of course, there's always ways how to minimize that. You have encryption and so on, and so many technologies out there. Now, government would always issue a challenge or a tender saying that, oh, we want to do this, we want to do that, with a goal of always of efficiency, transparency. Because with efficiency and transparency, the citizens really are served better and they have more revenue. Okay, so that's one always main objective of the government. Data privacy, it's one of the biggest and hottest topic right now, because you have heard about the leaks. Now, data privacy, Europe has one called the GDPR. It's called the General Privacy Regulation, the General Data Privacy Regulation. US, like California, they have the California Consumer Protection Act, or the Financial Modernization Act. Now, in Asia here, the grouping of 10 nations called the ASEAN also took the initiative way back in 2010 and came out with data privacy. It's only now that it's being implemented. On the forefront of that is Singapore, because they are really pushing digital transformation. Now, Singapore put up a challenge to develop the monitoring and control that these data are in compliance with the law. So they issued a challenge. So we participated, and we were able to get the award. So meaning we won the challenge. So we have that software now. It will be probably launched in a couple of months. Another one that came out recently, just a few weeks ago, is called the Electronic Bill of Lading, EBL. Why the EBL? Every time you ship goods from overseas or local, you use a bill of lading if you are using a ship. If you are using air, then you have the airway bill. Most of the time, it's really a voluminous document. So with BL, you have the invoices, the delivery receipt, the tracking receipt. That alone, probably you have 20, 30 documents there. When it reaches the port, now the broker have another set of documents. And the customs have another set of documents. By the time it reaches your warehouse, probably you have around 60 to 80 documents. Now, that's only one shipment. How many shipments are there in the world going around with the whole trade? So you can just imagine how much trees you can save and how much work can be saved. So they're putting out, one government here in Asia is putting out EBL, and probably we are going to participate. Now, the only problem there I saw was that they want this on a blockchain structure. Okay? You have heard about Bitcoin, right? That's a blockchain structure. Now, I don't know anything about blockchain. So I was asking around, what is a blockchain? Because the software side we can do. The blockchain side, we have no expertise. So I have to get expertise from who knows about blockchain. So anyway, those are what is happening now. The question is there really a big demand for digital transformation? Yes, and at first I was thinking, oh, maybe it's just one of the fad. But later on, I noticed that companies are really asking. So we put out an ad in the newspaper to test whether there's really that big demand. We put out an ad, workshop. We said, oh, digital transformation, learn how to do this, how to do that, everything. So we were thinking at the time, 60 participants once a month. But on the first day that it came out, oh, we were really surprised, shocked. On the first 2 hours, that first scheduled workshop was filled up. By the end of the day, we have to add 2 more workshops, so 3. And every week, we are scheduling now workshop every week instead of every month. Now, we started this in September of last year, middle of September. By this time, last week, we had total of 23 workshops attended by 900 plus companies, and attendees was about 2,100. And we have not seen a decrease in interest. In fact, a lot of big corporation and government has been inviting us to do the workshop at their premises because they don't want any disruption in their work. So they want us to be there. Aside from that, even outside cities, outside of Manila, has been requesting if we can do it on other cities. So that alone shows that there's really a demand for digital transformation. Why? Because you become more efficient, you become more productive, right? And the good thing here is that if you are a startup, small company, you can really do more with less capital, less employee. So you can really now start up and fight or compete with the bigger guys. That's the advantage of digital transformation. So, with that, the question is, do I have to go digital if you're in business? The answer is, if you don't, what will happen to you? You have seen my example, the typewriter, it's gone, almost gone. Telex is totally gone, right? But the rotary phone is totally gone. If you don't go digital, maybe you will have the same fate as those uh, equipment as, in 3 to 5 years' time. So with that, um, I would probably I would say that digital transformation here in our country is just taking off. It's just barely scratching now. Government has not been active, but I think the business community realizes this, and it has been moving, although in slower pace compared to other countries. But I think with the younger generation, I'm very optimistic that we will probably catch up. Okay? And with that, I thank you very much for listening about digital transformation. Thank you.